Hey everyone, it's Paul with Freedom Gorilla, and today I want to talk to you about EOTECH rifle optics. I'm not going to talk about their scopes, I'm not going to talk about their magnifiers, I'm just going to talk about their holographic red dot optics. And I'm not going to talk about their pistol optics. So if you're like me, I do really love EOTECH red dots or holographic sights, but their lineup is very confusing. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna distill it into an easy to understand way so that you can figure out the best one for you. All these can be found at very competitive prices on our website, freedomgorilla.com, with free shipping and in the description below. And if you wanna shop by color, by reticle, by QD, all that kind of stuff, check the link out in the description below. It's our EOTECH cheat sheet by Freedom Gorilla. It's gonna let you shop by each one of those features and make it really simple to find the exact EOTECH that you want. Okay, so I'm gonna assume you know a little bit about EOTECH right now, but just if you don't, the biggest difference between the EOTECH holographic sights and something like a HoloSun red dot is the technology within it. So I'm not gonna go super in depth, but the EOTECHs use a hologram and normal red dot uses a laser. So the main difference is on a normal red dot sight, the laser beam projects into the glass and then it projects back to your eye. What these EOTECHs do is they have a bunch of mirrors inside and it reflects the laser up and down. It's actually creating a hologram in front of your face. Kind of like how Star Wars works, that's kind of how they work. So now some of the benefits of having a holographic sight instead of a traditional red dot sight are, number one, if you look at the optic from the front, there's not going to be any red dot signature. So if you're in a dark room and somebody's looking for you and you're pointing in their direction, they will not see a red glare from that optic. If you had a traditional red dot sight, you would see that red glare looking at it from the front. Okay, so now the EOTECH is on and this SIG red dot is on. I'm gonna flip them around and I'm gonna show you how you won't see the glare from the front from the EOTECH, but you will see the glare from the traditional red dot. So I'm gonna turn the light off. On the right, you can see the glare. On the left, you can't see anything from the EOTECH. You'll see there's that red glare from the normal red dot, but nothing from the holographic. And I'll flip them around. I'm gonna flip the EOTECH around just so you can see. There you go, it's on. And then flip this one around and you can see. The other thing I will show is the glare. So you can see the EOTECH, not much glare. Normal red dot does show a bit of glare. And that's on the front. If we flip it around to the back, and now some of the other benefits of these EOTECHs is the dot is also 1 MOA. So that's super precise and it stays that way under magnification as well. So these are really nice to use with magnifiers. If the glass is shattered, the optic still works because it uses the hologram technology. They could help with astigmatism. Some people it does, some people it doesn't. They're made in the USA, military uses them, police uses them, they're battle proven. And I'm not gonna say that they're indestructible, but they're very durable. They all have a protective outer hood that protects the housing beneath it. They look awesome. You've seen them in movies. You see it in, special forces. They're cool. And you get a nice large window, and also tracking that dot, the way it moves, it looks really cool. If you've never seen one in person, I recommend checking them out. They are really nice and pleasing to look at. So now the only other thing that I do want to mention is the biggest sort of pitfall of these is they are more battery intensive. So, a traditional red dot sight, you usually are going to have maybe 25 to 50,000 hours. These EOTECHs, you're at around 1,000 hours. But that's the trade-off with the technology, and they're a little bit heavier, but that's also because they're bigger optics and they have bigger fields of view. Okay, now that I got that out of the way, what I want to do is I want to simply give you an overview of the different EOTECH red dot holographic sights that they have. So the main things you need to understand is there's really only 3 series of holographic red dot sights from EOTECH. You have the EXPS series, you have the XPS series, and then you have the 5 series. Now, the EXPS and the XPS series have CR123 batteries. So they're like a little tiny, fat AA battery. The 5 series uses 2 AA batteries. So right off the bat, that's something you should figure out. You should decide, do I want one of the optics that takes 2 AA batteries, or do I want one of the optics that takes a CR123 battery? And the biggest difference is the CR123 battery optics are going to be shorter on your rail. The optics that have the 2 AA batteries has the battery compartment that sticks out a little bit, so it takes up more rail space. So if you're planning on putting magnifiers on your rifle, or if you don't think you have enough rail space, the XPS or EXPS series is going to give you that more compact footprint. And fun little tip, I recommend always using lithium batteries in these, because lithium batteries are not going to leak. So that means you could keep it sitting there and your batteries aren't going to corrode. Now, the other thing that you're going to want to figure out, in my opinion, is where you want the buttons to turn the red dot on and off. So EOTECH has models with buttons on the rear, and then it has models with the buttons on the side. The buttons on the rear are fine, except if you're going to use a magnifier. If you're using a magnifier, or if you're putting something else behind the optic, sometimes that could obstruct the buttons. So that's just something to think about. Usually if buttons are on the side, it's a little bit more user-friendly in every scenario. So now, just so you know, all the XPS series EOTECHs have buttons on the rear. All the EXPS series have buttons on the side. And when you get into the 5 series, some have buttons in the rear and some have buttons on the side. The next biggest thing, in my opinion, to figure out is if you want a 1/3 co-witness or an absolute co-witness. So that just means if you're putting this on an AR-15 and you're looking down your AR-15 iron sights, an absolute co-witness optic will put the red dot directly in line with your sights. If you want the red dot to sit a little bit higher than your iron sights, that would be a 1/3 co-witness. And now the way people choose that is personal preference, but also an absolute co-witness forces you to put your head down a little bit more. A 1/3 co-witness allows your head to be in a more neutral position, let's say. You don't have to duck down as much to view the red dot. And as far as the co-witnessing and 1/3 co-witness, the EXPS series all has a 1/3 co-witness. The XPS series all have an absolute co-witness. And then the 5 series have some with 1/3 co-witness and some with a absolute co-witness. And now I'll say just the only other consideration, which isn't like a huge deal, but it's quick disconnect. So if you want a quick disconnect mount or a non-quick disconnect mount, that's something that you should decide if that's a big deal or not for you. If you want a quick disconnect mount, the EXPS series all come with quick disconnects. And if you want a non-quick disconnect mount, the XPS series comes with a non-quick disconnect. In the 5 series, some have quick disconnect, some don't. And if you're curious about pricing, generally the 5 series is going to be the cheapest, XPS is going to be next expensive, EXPS is going to be the most expensive. And now the only other thing to consider with the EOTECHs is if you want night vision mode or non-night vision mode. Both in the 5 series, XPS and EXPS, they'll have models within there that have night vision, and then they'll have models that don't have night vision. So all that means is they all have daylight settings, but if you're planning on using it with night vision goggles, then you'd want a version that has the night vision settings. That just means that it has some really low settings that you can use with night vision. Now, just some other quick stats. A lot of these optics, if they have daylight settings, they have 20 daylight settings. And if they have night vision settings, they have 10 additional night vision settings. And all these optics mount on just straight Picatinny rails. As far as waterproof ratings, all of them that have night vision have a 10-meter depth, which means they could go underwater for down to 33 feet, which is pretty insane. The non-night vision models have a waterproof rating of 3-meter depth, so they could go down as low as 10 feet of water. The other thing about these EOTECHs is they're all made in America. So if you want an American-made product, these are a great option. Now, all these EOTECHs, the weight ranges anywhere from 9 ounces up to 14 ounces. And now the ones with the AA batteries are going to be a little bit heavier. The other thing to know about the EOTECHs, they don't have like an auto brightness mode either. So you have to manually adjust the reticle, but that's fine. And when you are low on battery life, the reticle will blink, so you'll know that you need to change it at that point. And it may or may not be a big deal to you, but then they also come in various colors. Some have OD green, some have FDE, some have wolf gray, all of them have black, but if you're really looking for certain colors, you're gonna have to find out which one may have the color that you want. Now, even though these optics don't have the shake awake, they do have an auto turn off feature. And the auto turn off feature is basically just to save battery life if you forgot to turn it off. So let's say you forgot to turn it off after the range. After 4 to 8 hours, it will shut off. It's not a huge deal, but it's just something worth noting. Now, aside from those general differences, the majority of these optics are all the same. They're all built with the same hood. They're all built with the same housings, more or less. There's not like they skimp on material on the lower end and make the higher end ones more beefier. It's more just those bells and whistles and the battery compartments. And then the other thing to consider is the reticles. So there are many different reticles you can choose from. So now that's just something else for you to consider, is which reticle do you want in the optic. Some of the reticles you'll see are the A65. That's the regular circle dot with the one dot in the center. Then they have a version that has the outer ring with a 2 dot, then an outer ring with a 4 dot. Then some versions have a 300 blackout reticle, some have an FN303 reticle, some have an XR308 reticle, and danger close reticle. If you've never looked through one, they're very pleasing to look through. The reticle is really cool. Even under magnification, it's very nice to look at. And for me specifically, I don't get that starburst like I do with a rifle red dot sight technology. And so I really like the outer ring and the dot. And EOTECH was also the first one to come out with that reticle with that outer ring. And so between the field of view and everything, even though they weigh a little bit more than, let's say, a red dot from Holosun or someone else, I do really like the EOTECHs a lot. They're something you should feel very confident in using. Okay, so that's kind of the main thing. And what I'll do now is I'll just go through each model just so you can get a little bit of an idea what each model offers. They're gonna be very similar, and sometimes they have random exclusives at certain distributors. So if I miss any of them, feel free to leave a comment below and let me know about it. But I'm gonna try to cover every model they have and explain what each model is. The difference between each of these models is just gonna be whether it has AA batteries, CR123 batteries, whether it has night vision or non-night vision, and whether it has an absolute co-witness, 1/3 co-witness, quick disconnect, or non-quick disconnect. Those are like all the little moving parts they have, and then also side buttons or rear buttons. For the most part, what I explain here is going to be the baseline benchmark for most. And I just have a sheet in front of me, so because there's so many models and so confused, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. I'm just reading off my notes. Okay, so we're going to go through each model, and I'm going to start with the 5 series, then do the XPS, then do the EXPS. I'm gonna go from the cheapest to the most expensive. I believe we should be doing that. So first model is gonna be the 512. That's their most basic model. I believe it was maybe their original one. It has a circle dot, it comes in black, and it has no night vision settings, and the co-witness is absolute, and the buttons are on the rear. Okay, so the next model is gonna be the 552. Now, the 552, to simplify it, it's a 512 with night vision. So same exact housing, same exact look and feel, circle dot, black, and has night vision, absolute, co-witness, and rear buttons. So the next one up is the 518. Now the EOTECH 518 is a AA battery optic. It has a 1 dot or a 2 dot version, comes in black. It doesn't have night vision, but it has the 1/3 co-witness mount, and it has a quick disconnect mount, and the buttons are on the side. So an easy way to think about the 518 is it's basically an EXPS model, which is the top tier, except it just has AA batteries. And now the next version up is the 558. Now this is the same exact thing as the 518, except it has a night vision setting as well. So you can get it in the circle dot, comes in black, has night vision, 1/3 co-witness mount, and side buttons, and AA batteries. Now we're gonna get into the XPS series. You can get it in black, OD green, gray, tan, FDE. They're not gonna have quick disconnect mounts. It's an absolute co-witness, and it has buttons on the rear. And it takes a CR123 battery. So the XPS2 is essentially the same as the 512, except it's just a CR123 battery, so it takes up less rail space. Now the XPS2 has some variants. There is an XPS2 green, so that actually is the same thing, except it has a green reticle. So if you did want a green reticle, the XPS2 green will give you that. And if you don't know about green versus red reticles, some people say green is better with their astigmatism, but the other thing in this case that I think makes sense for EOTECH is your eye picks green up easier, so it's less straining for your eye to actually see green. But where this comes into play is actually with battery life. I've never done a test on this. I've never even researched it for EOTECH, but in theory, green can potentially save battery life because the way your eye sees green, it picks it up easier than red. So for example, let's say you had a red reticle at brightness setting 7. To get that same level of brightness in a green reticle, you might be able to get away with using brightness setting of 6 on a green reticle. So this is purely theoretical, but it's what I've heard. Basically, a green reticle may take less battery life to be the same brightness. So as a simple theoretical example, you'd say a green reticle at 6 is just as easy to pick up as a red reticle at 7, for instance, if that makes sense. The XPS2 also comes in a 300 blackout version. So if you wanted an optic specifically for your 300 blackout with a 300 blackout reticle, there's the XPS2 with the 300 blackout reticle. Everything is the same as the normal XPS, except it has a specific reticle made for the 300 blackout, and that reticle has 2 dots on it. Next, we have the XPS3. So the XPS3, very similar to the XPS2, except it just has night vision. So CR123 battery, absolute co-witness, non-QD mount, buttons on the rear, and it has a circle dot reticle, or you can get it with a 2 dot reticle, but it has the night vision settings. Okay, so now we're just going to get into the EXPS series, which is the next step up. So all of these are going to have a 1/3 co-witness. They're all going to have a quick disconnect mount, and they're all going to have buttons on the side. The first one in the EXPS lineup is going to be the EXPS2. So this is going to be the baseline model. It has a circle dot or a 2 dot reticle, no night vision mode, side buttons, 1/3 QD mount. Now the EXPS2 also comes in a green version. So if you want the EXPS2 with a green reticle, you can get that as well. It's the EXPS2 green. Now, as far as the EXPS2 goes, there is also like a black and tan version, and we also carry that as well, and that's just a housing color situation. So it's black and like FDE. The EXPS2 green comes in the circle dot with the 1 dot, and the black and tan also comes with a circle and dot reticle. Now, the big dog, the big kahuna, the EXPS3. So the EXPS3, that's going to be the top of the line EOTECH. It has all the bells and whistles, and so all that is same as the EXPS2, except it has a night vision mode, and it also has different reticles you can choose from. So there's a version with just the circle dot, there's a version with the 2 dots, 4 dots. It comes in either black or FDE. It has the night vision, it has the 1/3 co-witness quick disconnect mount, and it has the side mounted buttons. And then the last model I'll mention is called EXPS3 DCR, which stands for danger close reticle. This is a specific reticle that they've made. The whole purpose of it is to use true 2 eyes open techniques. Mainly, it's just for quicker target acquisition at closer distances. Here's some of the benefits of it, and that's going to have night vision as well. So that's kind of it, guys. That's the overview of all these EOTECH holographic sights. And like I said, I love them. I know a lot of people that do love them. For a rifle, they're definitely one of the best optics or red dot holographic sights you could put on there. There are differences, like I said, between a red dot and holographic sight, mainly the battery life and things like that. They're real sweet. Totally recommend them. I think you'll really love them. You should be very confident in using them just because, like I said, pretty much bomb proof. Military uses them, police use them, made in the USA. They're built for duty use. I hope this video was helpful. All these can be found at very competitive prices on our website, freedomgorilla.com, with free shipping, and in the description below. And if you want to shop by color, by reticle, by QD, all that kind of stuff, check the link out in the description below. It's our EOTECH cheat sheet by Freedom Gorilla. It's gonna let you shop by each one of those features and make it really simple to find the exact EOTECH that you want. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy the video, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. If there's anything else you want to see or you have any questions, leave a comment below or reach out to our support. We're happy to help all the time. Thanks for watching. Stay awesome.